Live all day. All right, we are up and running. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. Another night of intellectual fathers, uh, everyday fathers, working class fathers, estranged fathers, happy fathers, all the above, coming together to put on the Fatherhood Think Tank. Tonight we have a really, really, really good topic tonight. One that we, as I know, and sometimes I think about the topic we had tonight is one that we talk about infidelity, but sometimes on here, but we don't talk about it in um, the way we're gonna talk about it tonight. I know for sure. So tonight. I know that Rohan brought a topic to me. And I said, instead of going into the topics, let me go ahead and do Rohan topic tonight. So let's go ahead and put that into play because what he got is seeming like it's about the money. So we have tonight's topic, food for thought, financial infidelity. So food for thought, financial infidelity is tonight's topic. So with that being a nice topic, I first want to say welcome again to everybody. If you have not done so, like, share, subscribe. We're trying to get our subs up, our subscribers up. The sooner we get more subscribers up, more people who watch, the more we can really begin to take advantage of the message that is going out. And YouTube will begin to recognize and put us in some different algorithms. And that's a big thing I'm finding out. But I'm Dr. Ron Osborne Williams, and this is the Fatherhood Think Tank. And I'll let the other fathers and men introduce themselves, and then we'll get on this conversation of food for thought, uh, financial infidelity. Yeah, Rohan, you have to go
Good
first.
evening, gentlemen.
Mhm.
Uh, Name is J. Rob Menard, father of two, one male, one female.
Put together to form a big one grandchild.
Hey, good evening, fellas. My name is Daniel Lightborn. I am a father to a tribe of seven young adults, three young women, four young men, and one granddaughter and one very soon to be grandson. So it's always a pleasure being here.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Rohan Rodok. I'm a father of two young ladies. I'm really a father of every child. We support every child in whichever way we can. Uh, it's also a pleasure to be on this program and to share knowledge and to learn something new to be a better father.
Hello, this is L. Thomas Alberry, a father of one male, one female. They're both married, and I have seven grands, two young men and five young ladies. And
Hold
I'm
on,
a proud.
say that again, Elder Thomas. You said what now? How many what?
I said two young men and five young ladies.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just making sure my number was right.
Yeah, yes, you're correct. And a proud graduate of Blanche Ely High, the, the Mighty Tigers.
Sir.
Thank you. I'm wearing a shirt tonight. Yeah. Ooh.
John Ramirez, father of two, 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
I'm Justin Gibbs. I'm a father of 5. I have 3 young ladies and 2 young men. And as usual, it's always great to be here with you, gentlemen.
Can't hear you, Justin. Go again, Justin.
I said I'm Justin Gibbs. I'm a father of 5. I have 3 young ladies and 2 young men. I have a soon to be 13-year-old son, and I have all the way down to a 10-month-old son. And as usual, it's great to be here with you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, everybody. Cuban, you can introduce yourself. Roderick, Melvin, you can introduce yourself too.
So we're saying how many kids we have.
Yeah, you just
How y'all doing, fellas? Is Rod Melvin. I have a beautiful 11-year-old daughter. It's good to be on here again.
Thank you,
Um, this is so hard. I'm a stepfather, four boys, a 25-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 14-year-old, and an 11-year-old.
Hey, I don't know why you say it like that, Cuban, like it's like a listen.
Right?
Listen, you actually bring a completely unique experience to this, because some of the fathers on here are stepfathers, but they are stepfathers and also fathers of their biological kids. It's always good to get a stepfather without any biological kids. So we really gonna hear some interesting things. That's gonna chunk some things up. And who is that? Everybody? I think that's everybody. So, gentlemen, let's jump right into this. We know all about infidelity. We hear that's probably one of the most important things that come up when we're in relationships and having relationships. And we also know about financiality. Money is a big issue in our relationships, in the relationships we have. When it comes to kids, sometimes the financial part is the most important part people think about when they're going to have kids and how they're going to have kids. If they don't have the finances, they probably say, let's wait. Sometimes, I'm already started. Sometimes people say they don't want to have the kids yet because they're not many men may want to be at a certain financial place. And their partner may say, I'm ready to have that kid now, so I ain't gonna tell you that I stop taking the birth control, and we're just gonna deal with it like that, and we're gonna make it pop. We all know stories of that happen. We also, and we know those same stories work vice versa. So I want to just throw into you tonight is when you think about financial infidelity, what's the first thing coming to your mind? What have you envisioned? What have you thought about? And what have you seen?
Well, for me, and I'm gonna dedicate this comment to my wife. She being in a relationship with her, and she's my wife, so she's gonna be like one of the greatest experiences I'm gonna have with a woman. Second to my mom. Well, not second to my mom. Now first to my mom, but in the likeness of my mom. But nevertheless, I'm gonna include my mom in this as well. I noticed that as a man and as an individual, I'm gonna focus on my own element, what they call it, infidelity. So being a man and focusing on my own infidelities, then I noticed most men have infidelities with women. But with my wife, I had to learn this, that most women have their infidelities with money. And so when I found that out, I was like, wow. And then because I had to reflect on, I'm like, let me see. Then it dawned on me, I'm like, I'll be damned. Right. Women don't cheat when it comes to like a woman won't cheat on a man with another man. A woman would cheat on her man with money. And so she'll lie to you at the point of money before she lied to a point of another man. And so the most times you research women having infidelities is always with money as opposed to with another man. As opposed to men, when we have our infidelities, is always with women or something like that. And so I had to think about that and reflect on. I'm like, I'll be damned. I think my mom had one of the because I had to compare do a comparison of my marriage to my mom's marriage to my stepdad, wonderful guy. And he when it came, I mean, he'll give her anything he want. I mean, made sure he bought her a car like every 3 to 4 years and doing everything. And I remember she said she paid him one of the greatest honors when she did a radio interview because she was just being an entertainer. She paid him one of the greatest honors. She said, my husband give me all the things that a poor man can give, or something at that point. It was a very one of the most deepest things I've ever heard her say. And so that was a great honor. But just to give you the character of him, and in spite of him being that, and she know it was his pleasure to do that, she still would still have infidelities with money behind his back. And so, and you would even hear women say certain things. They have certain mottos and philosophies of with money, and those infidelities with money when it pertains to their relationship, as opposed to rainy day fund and stuff like that, and being having separate accounts. You understand? And stuff like that. So that makes sense, even though you guys are supposed to be in a transparent marriage or relationship. And so I found that was one of the and I'm talking about women across the board, all women. People are like, oh, not all women. I'm like, yeah, most women. Across the board would have that. I'm talking about some of the best women, the most honest women, the most trustworthy women will still have that struggle with infidelity and money. Even all the way back to the first woman, which was Eve. And you found out even in the garden, I'm like, people are like, well, that's not money. I'm like, no. I said, because what do we call money? And the ability to produce money. We refer to it as being fruitful. We call it fruit. And so even then, I think that infidelity with money is so deep rooted that it ruins relationships. And until we get an understanding of that, and I'm talking about a holistic understanding of that, I think money will still be the #1 cause of divorce. So there's so many ways we can go with this, but I'm gonna just put that out there just to put some thoughts in people's heads so they can be inspired.
Oh, okay. Thank you, librarian. Okay, here we are with a topic that is very emotional to a lot of people. Money. We know some folks will hurt people over money. Some folks will kill over money. And if you think about it, most fights and wars are sometimes over money. However, here we go. We're talking about financial infidelity. Does this happen in a marriage? Does it happen in a relationship? Does it happen at the job? Does it happen in the workplace? It happens everywhere. And really, what it really boils down to is that someone most times is playing games. Someone wants more. And we guys here are very familiar with that topic, more. And what I see when I do my research is that the kids are the ones who gets hurt when someone decides they want more. And I like to add a note, don't want to work for more. Because many people want more, but they're not willing to do the work to get more. So what I've seen is that we have relationships where two persons become one, which I believe that's the way it should be, or whether they get married or they have a relationship. And most times we are seeing scenarios where one partner has a whole game playing, a whole show doing their own thing. And what happens most of the time, they'll go ahead and apply for a loan. And of course, when they apply for a loan, all those things have to come on the table, and it will show who owes what and who has these debt that was not disclosed in the relationship. And as you guys know, the word C stands for credit. I actually call it C. I think one of these files, C stands for your character. That's the way I look at it. And we see many times, and as this discussion can go in many different ways, most people who are affected financially in today's society have the ability to grow. I believe when two people come together, regardless of your sex, and they work together for a common goal, they can achieve. That is my opinion. However, I believe two wrong people who come together and have the intent to manipulate, to control power, they tend not to grow and usually end up in either, I think what Roy Lightburn said, divorce, or they end up with hurting each other. So as fathers, we want to definitely try and teach our children financial literacy. And in most cases, if we don't know, we need to learn it. I go to many refinance stuff, I go to stuff at different programs, and I'm hearing women saying that the guys don't know. I'm like, what? Oh, he doesn't know. We just do the money, send him to work, and we take care of the money. And that's very dangerous when those comments are made. So it's some again, this topic can go in many different areas, but I hope it will inspire some of us and all men out there to try and be more financially literate. Food for thought.
I wanted to jump in with a question. What is the definition of infidelity? Right? Because I believe that they could be it'll be thrown up there for different perspectives. So pull it up, dictionary. I'm gonna read it for the crew. Infidelity. Lack of fidelity, violation of the marriage vow by adultery, any disloyal act, the state of being infidel. So the reason I bring that up is because as men, myself, we justify our own bullshit, right? We can sell our own dreams in a sense. And this is my account. I got to pay myself first. I'm not putting that into the house. There's all types of way of skinning that cat, right? However, when we talk about infidelity to the home, infidelity to the marriage, it ain't to her, it's the kids, right? Which is what you brought up, Rohan. Because a lot of people get caught up in like, I'm gonna stop working because she's milking me for everything. Well, kids are the ones that should technically be benefiting, and that money should be going to the children, not necessarily her, even though she's the one that's the primary caretaker and is the guarantor or the guarantor by the state or whatever the court is that says you got to stroke that check. And I think that that's a gray area for a lot of us. I'm not in that situation, never been in that situation, but I could definitely empathize and understand why that's a gray area, right? And it's like, well, shit, I ain't stroking no check, right? I'll take care of mine, but I'm not doing that. So I bring that up because I think from that perspective, there's a different way of going about this. So I just want to kind of throw that out there because we say words, sometimes we don't really understand the definition of the words and what it really means. For it to be you're breaking the marriage contract, right? Like that's a marriage contract that you're breaking. So I just wanted to throw that out there to the group and kind of go from there. You know how we do, we kick the can around.
Castro, you make a really good point because we have to also realize that for each and one of us, the idea of what infidelity may mean may change based on how our relationship is. So, and money may even change because you might have came into the relationship with no money. She might have a 7, 8 figure, 7, 8, 9 figure job, and you might just be a skilled worker. So, works as skilled labor, and when you look at that, with a guy who's skilled labor, it's her money and she gives other people the money, and we in the relationship together, I might consider that to be infidelity. You ain't even asked me, could you give them the money? You just because you said it's your goddamn money, and that is, and I think it's like the reverse of this power, as Rohan said, a really good point that sometimes we have to not look at things but man and woman, but look at power and control. Because anybody can be a person who has power and control, just depending on what the power and control thing they have over the other person. And that's the big part to look at.
I think I like what he said when he read the definition. And sometimes I think Webster, whoever the hell, sometimes they go too the long way to try to define stuff. But one word in there just really defines it: disloyal. And so that was good enough for me. And so that's what it means. It's a disloyalty or simply put, infidelity is a disloyalty in whatever relationship that you guys contractual. Now, when I say contractual relationship, in order to have a relationship, you guys are under some type of contract of what type of relationship you mean, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever. And so infidelity is not limited to it. You understand? It's a good example, or marriage is a good example for it, but it's not limited to a marriage. And so when you're talking about just being disloyal or being dishonest, here's another good synonym word, is a good term for it. Then you're just talking about being disloyal or dishonest financially. If we're gonna have a clear-cut understanding what financial infidelity is. And so being that as it may, it's not just something that destroys marriages, it destroys lives in our everyday culture, because you can see people getting shot up on the streets for it. You understand? You can see it in just regular society where people who may have something is getting robbed by people who don't have something. You understand? And with that, because the laws is the contract that we're all supposed to be under, right? So that's the civil marriage that we under. That's the sociological marriage that we under. But where that financial infidelity come in at, you understand? It can come in on both ends. The person who's rich as well as the person who's poor. Matter of fact, the person who's rich right now, it's a lot of that going on right now on both sides, but mainly on the rich side, because you got people with the cause of inflation and the cause of I live here in Florida, and the cause of insurance companies pulling out of homeowner insurance, but yet they can still write car policies. You understand? And so there's so much financial infidelity going on. I don't want working class people or poor people to be thinking they're the only one who can have financial infidelity issues. Because I can tell you, it happens more at the top than it does at the bottom. As a matter of fact, you got your ex-president that's facing about 90-something charges worth of financial instability. And so if we're gonna have a poster child for it, let's start there before we dump this in the lap of poor people in marriages. And so I don't want to, and I ain't never been scared to speak to the power and use the power as the example in this situation, because the power only wants to be the example in good situations, but it never wants to be the example in bad situations. And financial infidelity is one of those areas, you understand, that we will never look at, the powers that be as one of the greatest financially infidels in this world.
Listen to everyone speaking. I think it'll just when you start talking about infidelity, right? Regardless on what it is, I think it just boils down to trust in its most simple term for me. I think that when you start talking about how much do I trust you, especially when it comes when we're talking about finances, how much do I trust you to lead with the finances, right? How much do I trust you to take care of what's needed to take care of in that aspect? And I think once you start looking at it like that, there are many different ways in which it begins to manifest itself. Like when you say someone's putting, oh, I'm just, putting something away for a rainy day just in case, that without the other person knowing, that dishonesty, that lack of trust in their ability to lead is very strong. I think that once you start to have a better dialogue and an open communication when it comes to finances, I'm not saying it's going to take away the feeling based on how you maneuver as a person, but I'm saying it's going to open a little bit more room for change. And I think that's the one thing that we have to look at is a lot of times people aren't, and I can say people, I can even say myself. There are many times where I'm not, how you say that? The best management of my money. You see what I'm saying? And so there are times when you're gonna go on that shopping spree, you're like, I saw this new pair of shoes, I saw this new watch, I'm about to jump on that, right? And so we kind of when we do that, but we do it too often, That's what leads the other person to be like, hey, you know what, you know, you're not very good at this thing. I need to take a little bit of the reins and I need to control it a little bit more. And that's when you start to get the, I'm going to put something away. But once you start to have that open conversation and they understand that, no, I'm going to take care of what I need to take care of first, and then I'll have fun later. That's when you start to kind of diminish the possibility. I'm not saying it's ever going to go away, like I said, but you diminish the possibility of that ever happening.
Interesting. To, to put a comment here, as a single male who's hopefully looking for a wife and hopefully looking to maybe start a family, I'm at the bridge right now. Start a family or go on a cruise.
What? Hold on. Hold on. What's this say? You looking for a wife and to start a family?
Can you expound that a little bit more there, Rohan? For now, now.
I said I'm on the bridge. I'm on the bridge. Now I could take the direction of starting over a family with my old self, or I could go on cruise and chill like everyone else and go on vacations and go to the mountains, right? But here's my problem. Every female that I meet, we do, when it comes to the VJJ, we do excellent. They do, I would say 80 and above, depending on the depending on the how would I call it, the interview, so to speak, or sometimes the interview you get more than what you get on the job. But anyways, so as we continue, whenever I talk to a female and I said, you know, she asked me a question, do you give women money? I said, yes. But I asked about the question and I said, do you give men money? She says, no. So I said, okay, all right, okay. Next, we talk about money. I said, I need to see your credit. She says, well, why do you need to see my credit? I said, well, you want to get married. You want the status. You want the ring, if you want to put it that way. But nobody wants to talk about money. All the females I meet don't want to talk about money. And I'm having a hard time because I keep on meeting females who will do the other area, but they don't want to talk about money. Because I'm an advocate and I believe how you start is how you finish. And sometimes starting is tough. So I just want to put that in there. Food for thought.
Let me ask you a question, Rohan. This conversation is the first time you meet him?
I'm sorry? No,
is
no.
This conversation the first time you meet him?
No, it is not. It is again, the boat has sailed, but these questions are being asked as the boat goes up the river before it reaches the before it lands on the other pier. And the reason I bring this up because it is a tough decision because the expectations on men can be a lot depending on the culture. We know that majority of men who are in prison, if you do the maths, they're in there for money. Either the greed for money, the lack of money, but money is involved while they're there. And as we advocate and we want fathers to be in their children's lives, we have to change the mindset. And changing the mindset can be a tough call.
Well, in the women's defense, I ain't do this in a minute, but in the women's defense, right? I heard you guys use 2 words. You said trust and money. I love that. I love that oxymoron, trust and money. Let's look at it like this. Since the creation of money, right? Since the creation of money, I think, and I don't want to say that women has been a victim of infidelity because of money. And the reason I say that is because of this. Think about infidelity, women and money, blah, blah, blah. The history of infidelity and money, and particularly with relationship with women, is because prostitution is the oldest profession in the world. And so if that is so, then money seems to influence or create an infidelity in women because they was exploited because of it. I don't have to tell you because most of us on here are African Americans, so we know what that exploitation looks like. The whole slave trade was based on money. You understand? So, and to a certain extent, I can give a damn about money. And I'm going to tell you this. If you're in a relationship and you measure your spouse up against money and money tend to be become more important than your spouse or more important than your child, you don't deserve that spouse or that child. And don't tell me because, oh, I need it because I can take care of the children. I'm like, no, you just made that more important than the children because you can get more money, but you can't get another child and you can't get another spouse. Well, at least you can get another spouse, but you can't get that spouse if she ain't worth any damn. And so I think sometimes we have to look at the history of both money and infidelity and see how money was created. Guess what? To create infidelity. But I think what we keep money as, and I'm gonna be honest with you, we keep money as a deity. It's a fancy ass word for God. You understand? I like the rhyme stuff. So we keep money as a deity. And when you see money as a deity, then it becomes God. And everybody else become a servant to it. Or guess what? Worth less than it. And so sometimes we talk about we have to recreate different things. I'm like, well, yeah, we need to create different things because we use money in a most infidel way. We use money to bait women, not really so much to date them. And even so much, we use it as a bait to date women. And so that's something that if we're going to really put our souls on the line and we have transparent conversation, then we're going to have to really dig deep in who we are and how our pros and cons of how we may have been infidels with money, right? And guess what? Allow or contribute to somebody else's infidelity with money. I mean, strip joints just don't run on morale.
Hey, money is the root of all evil.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The love of it is.
The love of money.
Oh, the love of money. Okay.
Yes, sir. The love of money.
So
I think that a lot of people. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were gonna say something, Ron?
oh no, you got it. I just feel like, we shorten it by saying the love of money, or the love of money is the root of all evil. But that creates the infidelity that Lightborn was speaking of. Like, if money is the center of it all, then naturally we will be prone to do things because of money.
Well said. Yeah.
I think that once you start to understand that money, like every other thing, well, not every other thing, but money, like every other inanimate object, is a tool that's meant to be used and meant to be used properly. Because you're not gonna, every tool has a purpose. And so once you understand money and the way it's used and the way, you can use it, and it comes at you, depending on how you use it, can be negative or positive, right? But the fact that you understand how to use the tool in a positive way will change the direction of how you start to maneuver. I think that when you love something too much, I think that's when you get it becomes an addiction, right? And once you get addicted to it, it's the chase that you're after, and so that is where the corruption comes in, and that's where everything else takes place. So once you start to understand how to use money properly, how that is a tool, that it's not meant to control, but it's meant to enhance, so to speak, that's when you truly can maneuver and understand yourself. And I say yourself, not the other person who you're sitting across, because how you use money is going to dictate how you understand. I shouldn't say how you understand money will dictate how you treat your life. I think it goes into hand in hand with what Lightborn was saying, that if you're using the money to try to get women, you're never really going to find a woman with substance, because you're not looking for one. But once you put that aside and say, you know what, I'm going to use this to not to find women, because I'm going to find a woman, but when I get this woman who I think is worthy, I'm going to share this with her, then you're using the tool properly. And I think that's what we all have to look at.
I like that. He made, Menard mentioned a word, addiction. Just look at that word for a minute. Addiction. People are addicted to smoking, drinking, sex, and the list goes on. But Bernard put it in a way that people are addicted to money. Just think about that for a second. Someone is addicted to money. And like any addiction, an addiction can actually take over your life. It can kill you. So that word addiction can be used in many different ways. And of course, with an addiction, most times, is there an answer for someone who's addicted? I don't know. But one thing for sure, when it comes to money and your health and your car and your house or whatever rocks your boat, it has to be managed. You got to manage your time, manage your money, manage what you eat, manage how you sleep, manage how you exercise. It's really a balance at the end of the day. You know, something to think about.
You know, I was thinking about a movie when you said that, because you guys brought it up, with the addiction and stuff like that and the money. And yes, it can be very intoxicating. I was looking at, I think it's a movie, Chris Rock. It was, I Think I Love My Wife. That's the name. So in that movie, it's something very profound, you know, just like got a antenna. This guy says something, Chris messing up. I mean, he's one of the best employees at the particular job where he works at. And he gets hooked up with an old girlfriend. And so now he starts to slack off at the job. The boss know his value, so the boss finally called him in to have a sit down with him, not to fire him, but to just warn him about, listen, man, kind of messing up. But he didn't, you know, he gave him some advice. I mean, it was some of the most profound advice I ever heard. And he said these words. He said, you can lose money chasing women, but you'll never lose women chasing money. And I was like, okay, I like that. And so the way he packaged that, it made me look for that type of wisdom when I'm going to talk about money like we're talking about it now. And so my own wisdom, I'm like, how could I come up with something of my own? And then guess what? It took a few years, but I came up with my own philosophy when it comes to money. And this is what I give to my kids and anybody younger in the next generation. I'm like, if your money is not moving you, you're not using it. And that's simple. And so again, if your money is not moving you, you're not using it right. Simply put, if you have access, you understand, to something, but you're seeing nothing, you understand? You have access to a job, so you got access to income, right? But you're not seeing any output. Eventually, that job is going to seem worthless to you because it's not producing anything and you're not moving anywhere. So you're not taking vacation. And you said something earlier, Rohan, about the vacation. I'm like, it's very important. Simply put, if your money not using, if your money's not moving you, you're not using it right, because you should have been taking those vacations and making those moments into memories, and those memories into a movie. Moments into memories, which means you cultivate your kids and gave your kids the exposure and experience that they need. You understand? They become the legacy you need them to be. That's what I mean by, if your money's not moving, you're not using it right. And so you got a lot of people that makes, a lot of money, don't know that they can see the stuff that they're not even seeing. Never took a vacation. Do all this overtime, but don't have a passport. Doing all this overtime and still cash your check at the check cashing place. Doing all this overtime and you still need a payday loan. Your money's not moving you. It may be sending other people on vacations. You understand? And you can't even afford a car. So you understand? And it's a lot of, I can't say financial literacy. I'm like, well, no. I think when you have financial literacy, because you got some type of knowledge and common sense on the fact that you do want money, and you know what you want to do with it when you get it. You understand? But it may be, and you know what? This topic is perfect because it may not be a financial literacy issue as so much it is a financial infidelity issue. Mm-hmm. Simply put, infidelity is in a simple form is doing wrong or doing somebody else wrong. So infidelity in a monetary issue is you're doing your money wrong. You understand? So it ain't so much that your money cheating on you, you cheating on your money. You understand? But that's just me. I'm just gonna leave that with that.
Hey, Lightboy, you make a really good point, because you think about that and you put it in the context of how you're describing, right? Most people don't pay themselves. They pay everybody else. And so here you are working hard. You know, there's a $3 rule. The $3 rule, you pay for all the bills, pay for the things that you need, and then you pay yourself one of those dollars. So the $3, you make sure you're always paying yourself. So you take care of all the stuff you need, take care of what you need to do. And then one of those dollars need to come back to you to be saved for whatever else you got to do. But a lot of times we'll get $3 and give the $3 to somebody else. And they'll take one of the dollars and save two of the dollars that we gave them. And then we say, like you said, how they get to go on that cruise? Because they paying themselves with their own money. They're not just working to work. But that's also, you know, and sometimes I've been talking to a lot of people recently who have been, I would say, money insecure. And what I mean by that, and I want to define that, is that they don't believe that they should receive a certain amount of money. So like they'll say, well, I might as well keep this job because I don't know what I'm gonna do if I get more money. Or I'm scared to ask for more money because they might tell me no. And I see some people go in there and there's people who say, how much want to get paid for this job? The joker say, oh, I want to get paid $100,000. Sir, the budget is only $460. We only the range is 45 to 65. The joker walk in and say, I want to get paid $100,000. And we have some of us who the range is 125 to 86, and we ask for 85.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Scared to say if I ask for 86, I might not get the job, or I might not be able to have it. And and so just imagine if you ask for the 100 and start paying yourself what you could do, because you're making it on 65 right now. We just got to begin to also put that in because we do have this insecurity about the money because we work so long for free that we think we should do everything for free.
Excellent, Ron. I like that, Ron. I like that. We tend to take the back seat. Ron, a quick one. We tend to take the back seat. No one, I say this to my daughters, no one is better than you. I want us all to say that. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're a Jew. You're not better than me. I make that very clear. That's why I don't do feelings. People come around me with feelings all the time on the job, and there's no one better. I tell my daughters, never come to me with that. You are a human being. You have the right to live. And you must always love yourself first before you love someone else. Because many of us get into this, what Bob Marley says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And we need to do that, not only with our labor, but also with our finances. We need to come out of the box, go into other areas and grow. Because we have the same ability. And if you think about it, majority of people are making money off us. I just got to put that in there. But you see that picture behind Ron, that picture of that lady that says death? Look at that picture closely and you'll see the lady is sleeping and that person is up on his computer looking at death with that big ball in the room. They say a picture shows more than 1,000 words. Maybe that's 1,000,000. It's perfect right there. The lady is sleeping. He's on the laptop and there's a big death in the room. And those are both of them should be sleeping.
But Rohan, the picture, just so you know, the picture is she's sleeping, but he up getting them into debt. Because he got all the credit cards and so he ended up buying stuff while she sleep. And when she wake up and say, well, I thought we was gonna get this house. I'm just saying that's what the picture, that's why I got the picture. And that could be him or it could be her. I know that a lot of times you see sometimes it be her. She every time we turn around, boxes at the front of our house. Stuff that's still in the boxes right now that been in our house for 3 weeks, 3 months. We ain't even opened those boxes. Those kind of things. And Rohan, you saying something, but it is really, really important that we recognize that we are worth every bit of work that we do. Because sometimes we will shy away, and we need more fathers because fathers not fathers. See, our society is female driven, the whole society, right? So then when we think about us as Black men and Black fathers, men in this capacity, we are following the trend. The trend is not to ask for too much. Most fathers not gonna ask for too much because they hoping just to get the job. So they go in there and say, I want $80,000. They'd be like, oh well, sir, we can't do it. And they'd be like, oh, damn, I'm gonna lose this job. And that's a mentality that we begin to take on. But in old, if we start taking on a mentality, listen, I can't work here unless you give me this. Because that's what the other people got. The mindset that I can't do this unless you give me this much, because this is how much I'm worth. Even if we reverse the mindset of being enslaved, you understand how important an enslaved person was to the plantation owner or the enslaved owner. Nobody could kill them. Nobody could hurt them too much. Listen, they was worth their value when they was put on the auction block, right? They didn't say, oh, let's give them for $5. Oh, the $2.50. No, never. Even especially depending on, as men, big bucks. Big bucks could go for $1,200. Think about that. A buck could go for $1,200. Even a young child who they might think will become a buck, $500, because he can grow up good and he can be strong later on in life. So we have to start using some of what is our insecurity as our strength to say, no, you won't have nothing if I don't work here. So
I think it like you guys are saying, it's about understanding who you are as not as a person, the value that you hold no matter what room you walk into. Let me say it like that. So as a person, you gotta understand the value you hold no matter what room you walk into. You have to understand that what you can do, somebody may be able to do it, but they're not going to do it as well as you. And that's when you start to understand your value. That's when you start to understand your presence in a sense. And so I think the thing that happens with a lot of people is like Ron was saying, they don't understand, a little bit of Rohan saying, they don't understand what they're worth when they walk into a room and demand the position they deserve. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's also a sense of fear that if I do get it and I underperform, now what? You see what I'm saying? But that piece of how you feel needs to be tossed out. Because once you own your knowledge, nothing can take that away from you. And the key is to continuously gain knowledge. I tell everybody this. Whenever you get a job, don't know your job. Know everybody else's job around you too. Know the people above you, know the people underneath you, because that makes you invaluable. Because you will always be able to teach, one, to replicate, two, and then to always be able to be put in position to advance, three. And so it's one of those things that a lot of people will nowadays go and put themselves in a box. And sometimes you have to break yourself out that box you put yourself in order to advance. And whether it is where you're going to advance within this company or you go find something else somewhere else, but make sure you increase that knowledge and increase that power that you have, because it's going to be invaluable. If it's not invaluable where you are, it's going to be invaluable somewhere else.
So I missed some portions of the conversation, because when I walked away, we were talking about infidelity in marriage. And I walked back, we were talking about self-worth and value when you walk into the room. And I could bridge the gap, right? I could understand that. And I think from my perspective and just kind of trying to connect the dots, but then also continue the conversation, how can we have self-worth when we're not allowed we're not allowed to be empowered and walk in with that self-worth in a we talked about a marriage, right? In an institution that you're not valued if you don't perform, right? You are only valuable by your ability to bring income. You're valuable by your ability to what you're able to provide. And so there's some dichotomies of thinking that men go ask for a job. Hey, you got a job? Hey, let me get a job. Not walk in the door and say, this is what I'm worth, right? You look at Dr. Ron over here, he's got doctor. That bro sent me his resume the other day. I'm like, what the hell is this? A 22-page? Oh, that's not a resume. That's telling you what I do. You want me to come do this for you? There's a check that you're gonna stroke. It's a different conversation when I say this is what I'm willing to do the job for. A contractor, a builder. I'm gonna come do this, and this is what it's gonna worth. Versus, hey, I'll do whatever you need me to do, right? And that, in my perspective, is the mindset between, I'm gonna say black and brown and the white folk, right? Because we're not entitled, we're not taught, we're not raised to be valued like that, right? We go back to how we're groomed and what we look like, right? My parents instilled that in me because they were business owners and entrepreneurs. So they kind of grew me a little differently. But if my parents were blue collar workers, son, go get a degree, go to a job. Right now you're applying for a job. Please give me. It's almost like you're begging versus this is what I'm worth, and you're a jackass if you don't hire me because your company can get better, right? So it's also your self-worth, but then also how the marketplace allows you or gives you that validity in a sense, right? And as much self-worth as you have, you're only validated once you sell your product. Right? I can be a salesperson, but if I don't ever sell a transaction, then I still ain't sold shit. Right. So, and I think that's part of what happens with us as men. And if we don't know how to do that, how the hell are we going to teach our youngins? I want to raise the next generation to say, hey, you're worth this because you spent X amount of times educating yourself to go be worth that. Right. And to me, that's just the difference of going to ask me for a job versus this is what I can do for you.
Yeah, Castro, I'm glad you brought that up. And you mentioned your legacy, you mentioned your children, and that's it shows your soul and your mind. But let's do this. If you do the same thing every day, you get the same result. And we have to, at some point, make a change. I can say on this program, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I ask my job, and they say it every day at my job. They complain about the boss not getting paid, and you know I don't complain. Because what I say to my coworkers is this: you have 24 hours in the day. 24 hours in the day. I would strongly suggest you get 8 hours of sleep. Work 8 hours on a job if you need to work, but you have to budget your time. The guy who's up top has the same 24 hours. And what I would suggest is that you use your time to make your money. You may not be of value to that job, but it can be of value to someone else, to another company. You can start your own business, cleaning, landscaping, whatever can bring in income. That's how you can make your money. Because remember, each one of us get the same time. And when you mention your children, I can tell you up front, there are other cultures that their sons are taught to be a man at the age 14. So by the time they're 18, they already know what to do. They don't turn 18 and they say, okay, what do I do, Dad? Or police arrest them and say, hey, you know what? You're going to jail. What do you mean I'm going to jail? I want to go home to mommy. We as fathers need to step up. And sometimes it's going to be tough, but we need to change the curve, because every father on this block here, whether we have money or not, we have a brain, we have the ability to teach and to be a leader. And that's what I would suggest, because it's tough to do, but we have to make the change, because again, each one of us have value, including the children.
You know what? That's funny. I love. I think it's a slippery slope when having this conversation, particularly measuring your worth to money. And the reason I say that is this: it's because I think there's I don't even say it's a fine line. I want to say there's a damn Grand Canyon between when it comes to getting money, between ethics and politics. And so let's just say, let's use Rob's point, Rob's point. Rob said you learn as much as you can, you get, you do what you're supposed to do, make yourself invaluable to that company, keep on training people, teaching people, blah, blah, blah. And then the politics comes in and say, okay, yeah, well, you don't train, and you hear this a lot too. You don't train that person, now we're gonna make him your boss. Even though he have less experience and education. That's politics. And so I'm saying that to say this. I can't do it if I want to. This is the best part about real choice and real power. I can do it if I want to. But when I can play politics, but I choose ethics over politics. That's just me. And so I found out some of the greatest people in this world was raised by fathers who had jobs. So for all these businessmen, you know, and all these famous people who can't produce famous children, they can leave an inheritance to them. You understand? Michael Jordan daddy had a job. You understand? All these famous, again. And so there is some real value when it comes to ethics and politics. So yeah, you can play politics. You understand? But it's never gonna leave you with a true legacy. That's of love and that's just. A true legacy saying that okay, you know what they say? Your name. You understand? Now, if we want to say that, I'm like, because I could think of some very, very famous people. You understand? That makes a lot of money, that knows their worth. Wall Street is full of them. You understand? But where's the ethics? You understand? And how are you suffering from their politics? They got, matter of fact, everybody's paying for what they've done in the last 15 years. But nobody's saying nothing about it. And yet we still want to be like them. What is the psychology in that? You got Bernie Madoff, and I'm talking about, and they using, and don't think they're not using Bernie Madoff blueprint to the T, because they're still using it. You got Wells Fargo still, preyed on a whole, used predatory loans on a whole generation of Black and brown people. You understand? But yet we're coming to this community 10 years later and say that, oh, now we're different. And the reason, and guess what? We'll be apt to forgive them quickly because they have money, as opposed to somebody who actually sacrificed and suffered with us. They got to get their forgiveness like 10, 20 years down the road. But Wells Fargo can get theirs filed down the road simply because they got money. Oh, come back in, this and that. And so when I think about the infidelity with money, I think we have the biggest infidelity we have with money is our own morality. We're willing to sell each other out quick, and we're willing to sell ourselves out quick for anybody with money, but for the sake of forgiveness, just to be in a relationship with somebody I hope I can get something from, even though their history have proven they robbed you. And so there's so many ways we can go with this infidelity thing, and this monetary infidelity and this financial infidelity issue, to the point that it just burned my biscuits. I'm just being nice with that terminology. But yeah, it just pissed me off. And so I think we talk even safe with it, because the first thing you want to do when you talk about financial infidelity, financial injustices, the first thing we want to criticize is the people at the bottom. Nobody want to take that judgmental fingers and point it at the top and say, hey man, the reason that you didn't recover all that money that you guys lost in 2008 is the reason why we have the level of You're not gonna say that.
Well, hey, like one of the ways, and I heard this recently, I was at a little conference and a get together, and the guy was saying, like, a lot of times we're talking about people getting paid and how much people will get paid, and said that someone owns a business, if they're going to pay you $20, they only going to pay you $20 that you're going to do $30 worth of work per hour.
That's right.
And this is the problem that we have not kind of took in stock, because for many times we will go to jobs and work $40 per hour when we only getting paid $15, because we have a fear of not keeping that job or losing that job, or that we are, like I said, we are job insecure, we're finance insecure. And in that point, we do way more than what we should be doing. Again, historical, we did more than what we were supposed to do when we were enslaved, when people were enslaved, when you did more than, you did all of that stuff for free. From the time that the sun rise until the moon got full, not to the sun set, but to the moon got set. So you start seeing people start saying in this mentality, oh, let me try to work as hard as possible, but we haven't asked for the money for the work that we're doing. And then now, what I am seeing is that the women are asking for the money. And they're asking for the money because it's in reference to equality that you have been discriminating against them all this time. So they'll say, no, the number for the job is $75,000. She'll come back and say, I need to get 80. For all the time, and I'm going to do this, and I'm still going to have to take maternity leave. I need to get 80. We'll walk in there as men and fathers and shuffle and say, what's the range of the job? How much can we get paid? We don't walk in there saying, my number is 70. My number is 85. My number is 112, 420. That's my number. 112, 420. That's the number. Now they'll say, well, I'm confused. No, you ain't confused. Because you can easily go and look on any computer and see the ranges for the job that you're doing, that you get paid. And when you see they have these tiers of who get paid what, most of us find ourselves at the bottom tier of the pay, but doing the most of the work. So we have to really start thinking, because it does affect us and what we can provide for our families, for our kids, for ourselves. Listen, if I can get what I can get from a client, and I'll just share, $125, $150 an hour. I want you to think about if I can get that an hour for 40 hours. I just want you to add it up really quick. You can see if for 40 hours of work, I can get 125 to 150 an hour. Because a lot of time when I'm seeing those clients, I'm giving them everything. When I get off of there, I gotta take a nap. I gotta keep that in mind. So we have to start thinking as fathers, how do we provide for our kids better by really demanding more for the work that we do? And the other part of that is we have to do the work now. Okay.
But you just said, financial would you say financial infidelity or financial insecurity, in which you just so eloquently explained? That's not an individual issue. And remember what I said? We scared to blame the industry. You understand? Because if you're in the business of doing that, if you're in the business of lowballing people, what makes you any different from the pimp and the loan sharks on the street? You understand? Yet you functioning at a moral status and a moral code that's supposed to be what they call it, the upper echelon of society, but yet your business, you understand, is no different than the pimp and the loan shark on the street. So I'm not going to say, an honest individual just coming in and look for honest pay. You understand? Is at fault because they got a dishonest ass industry that don't want to pay them what they worth. I'm not going to say that. And so this is why I'm like, no, I got to put that blame where it belongs. That has nothing to do with the individual. That has something to do with the industry. Because I'm like, listen, remember I told you prostitution is the oldest profession in the world? It doesn't just limit to the street, the woman on the street walking on the corner. Sometimes it's unlimited to the working person that's walking, you understand, that's walking into that job. It shouldn't be acceptable on any end. And we need to put that same light that we will put on the streets, you understand, in the suites of these companies that has the same infidelity issues, because they want to just rob people that they're trying to hire. That's wrong. And so just because I'm like, because you can rob me and get away with it, doesn't make it, and we make it like, well, it's okay because you should have asked for more. I'm like, no. If you knew it was in the budget to pay for more, you should have paid them people they was. What, somebody had to watch you to do right?
But
And that's the problem I have. So I'm like, man, that's an industry problem. That's not an individual problem. If you got somebody that values going to work and will do an honest day work and thinking that's the best you can offer them, that's not on them. That's on that old infidelity ass industry that you work with. So I am never gonna penalize good people for working for bad people. Everybody is not called. So if you blessed and God blessed you to actually have your own company and provide jobs for people, then guess what? Do it right. But don't try to justify why you do it wrong. Oh, because they don't really know their work. So that's why I rob them. I'm like, nah, I can't sit here and like, and I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're a part of a company like that, you need to go, you need to call them. That's why God put you there. Be that light, shine that light on that BS, and get them the hell out of there. So that company can become the company that it needs to be. Because chances are that guy's sinking you anyway.
Well said.
Well, I'm sorry.
You know, I'm glad light burn. I don't know if you guys, any of you guys ever been in this situation. Have you been in a job and you put in your resignation and say, I'm leaving, and they say to you, how much more money can we pay you to keep you? Do you know how embarrassing that is? You work at a place and when you're leaving, they want to pay you more money.
well, but because okay, so Rohan, you got to remember, I was just telling my goddaughter this. The job that she wanted to go to a job, right? The range that they said they had was from 80 to 100, right? She is going to move to the place, this and that, right. They want her by in a week or so. So she would have to do everything. She put down there that she wanted to get 90, right? And I explained to her that there's a likelihood, because she's making something, less than the 80 and the 90. She's making something a little bit less than that, way less. And so that's like the come up. It'd be the come up. But she wants to come up more because she done broke down. Again, savvy. She's savvy. I wish I could see more young men being savvy like she is. But she take that out there. Her mama, who's very savvy with the money. She done broke down how much both jobs, even with the lower job, that she only getting $600 more a month. Wow. So why make the move for that higher job? And then I kind of explained to her, they won't give you the 100 because they're using the 100 to pay you over the next 3 years. So by the time you get to, you stay at that job 3 years, you'll get the max. They got the money. When I was a manager, we had the money for our employees. We ain't pay them all of it. But when every year evaluation, we gave them a raise. We didn't have to look for money for the raise. The money was already there. And the company using whatever remaining money to collect capital, interest, whatever they doing while that goes on. So you got to remember, we got to also start thinking about the business aspect that these people are who run these business and how they do things. So I suggested to her, if you want to get a higher salary, go take that job, stay there until you ain't gonna take that no more, because you can't go backwards. The next job you go to, you tell them, hey, I'm making this, I can't make a lateral. I can't make a lateral, and I'm too young to retire to go down. So I need to go up. And guess what? They be forced to make you go up. So we gotta have those are kind of conversations. And again, this is why I told you about that whole issue about being with our children, being fathers to our children. My goddaughter calls me all the time, and she have her own father but she calls me all the time for that kind of guidance. The same guidance our own children really need from us. That she got all she needed from 0 to 18. But a lot of stuff that she doesn't really know, she texts me about men stuff. She texts me about all kinds of stuff. And we have really serious conversations about this. But that's the guidance that our children really need during that time. So the fathers, I say to you, and I stand on this, don't give up because you ain't get to see the kid 0 to 18. Because they really need you 18 to 30.
That's right.
And when they start making 6 figures, they get you something nice for your birthday, or Christmas, you know. Maybe a platinum tie.
I wanna jump in on what you just said there, Ron, as far as understanding the business side of the job, right? And I can't say we don't know, but I know that a lot of people don't understand business, right? And what the ROI of human capital is. Rohan, you said we'll give you more money to not leave because it costs so much to replace you, right? To hire someone else, to just the whole hiring process, training, that costs money, right? If employers were smart and knew how to manage their human capital, they wouldn't have those type of problems, right? However, it's always it's a fight to the bottom of how can I get anything else, right? Who can make this cup for the cheapest price so I can sell it for the highest price, right? It's the same thing in that concept. However, going back to what Ryan was just saying of treating yourself like a business, treat yourself versus a W-2 employee, treat yourself as a 1099. I'm a contractor. I bring this value. This is what I bring to the table. Treat me as such. Now you even as a W-2 employee, you still have a different perspective and you're showing up differently to the table. I believe that gets kind of lost in the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
There's no understanding and there's no value of. And then also we just like, all right, 6 o'clock, it's time to go. You're getting sucked into that bullshit also, right? You're as worth and as valuable as you play yourself to be, right? So I just wanted to throw that in there because I think there's some opportunity, there's some growth opportunity there, and I see Lightborn laughing, so I know he's about to jump in and say something. So
what about the new fathers? What about the new fathers? We've been talking. Let's hear these new guys say something, because a lot of guys on here, right, Ron?
You know, Rohan, you know how to do it.
I'm saying, I ain't
call
saying
him out, Rohan. Get the whip and call him out.
We got Charles Scott here. We got Frederick Adams. We got Jay Gibbs, Errol Jones. I ain't saying nothing for the rest of the night, man, because these guys ain't talk. I'm keeping them all quiet.
Okay.
We're gonna pull them out. They got to say something. The young fathers, the older fathers, the mature fathers. Let's call them out. Call some names out, Lightburn. Let's see if they answer.
Bro, I'm just happy to be here. This is Errol Jones. How you doing?
What's up, Errol?
All right. I'm just happy to be here. I'm just tuning in. I don't have no kids, but I'm just happy to be here and you get some of this wisdom and knowledge from you brothers. So when I do have kids, you know, I could take it and use it in my life.
Listen, he right about that. Listen, I'm telling you again, every person that I give advice to who didn't have kids or started early in these situations, if I hear, I got a buddy, if he tell me one more time, if he say to me one more time, man, I just can't thank you enough for telling me to do that. I just can't. And I told him the other day, man, I don't want to hear that. Please don't say that to me anymore. You know, but it is to get this knowledge before you get into the situation. You know, how do you know how to be a good lover? Studying how to have sex. You don't just go in there pound town and you great. Oh, I love him. Oh, I got no. You had to watch some Emmanuel on Cinemax. You had to watch. See, you got to be a certain age to know what I'm
talking. Did you just say that, bro?
You got to be a certain age to know
that one. X there from the conversation.
Huh?
Don't forget. Just don't worry about what I just said. Anyway, but you know what? I should have started the conversation out with this, but it didn't dawn on me until now at the end of the show. That I think some of the first financial infidelities that you're going to run into, particularly as a father and a man, is going to probably be child support. And that's going to be one of the greatest infidelities that we're going to face as fathers. I think if you ask me about what would be the number one financial infidelity of fathers, it will be child support. But again, I wish I would have started that out. And on the front end, so we had more to talk about on the back end, but then there was so much stuff going through my brain. But I just want to leave that out there. And if one of the guys want to expound on that part when it comes to financial infidelity and how child support may play into that, or how they will see child support being a financial infidelity, then by all means, let me know what you think.
I'll talk about child support. I'm on child support. And I went to the child support office last week, Friday, and I sat there in the things off somewhere in Fort Lauderdale, and I counted about 20 tellers, fully stocked, fully staffed. And I sat there and I said to myself, wow, there's like what, 3 of us inside there? And your tellers, 20 tellers there just waiting for fathers. And let me mention, mothers too. There's mothers coming in there. And grandmothers was coming in there that I was talking to, paying child support. Let's get it real. Your children is money. And whomsoever want to take me on about that, your kids are money. You need to mind your children, I mean, take care of them. I'm not an advocate for child support. To be honest, I'm an advocate if the money is held accountable. But child support is a big business. And more fathers, as we speak right now, are going on child support as we speak. Because it's an option. I'm just going to get paid. I can raise a child on my own. That's all I have to say.
But you know, there's a guy out right now, Rohan, and I seen him on Instagram, and he going around saying, you know, child support is a fraud and it's a scam. He explained how, I guess he was a young guy, and again, I think this is where we have to be really mindful of what we read and what we listen to, and understand that one man's story is not everybody else's story. And it's important. That's very important, because for you being a 16-year-old kid who had sex with a 15-year-old girl and all the things that happened around, you had no control, and now you find out you had them. That's completely different than my situation, how I'm on child support. You know, those are very different things. And it's important for us to know that there's multiple, and that situation might not work for you to say it's a scam, it's a fraud. No, it's something that you're going to have to take care of. It's something you're going to have to do. I know we like to always hope that we can get the easy way out of something. But is it the really easy way out? Because imagine this. I say this all the time. If let's say you had another family and you had a child that you're paying child support for. Now you provide for your family that you with and the child that you had in this thing. You might not have no contact, might not be able to get in touch with your child, any of that. When you and the child finally are able to get together to establish something later, the child say, you never did anything for me. You never gave me anything, I never got anything from you, or what have you, right? You can say, physically, emotionally, but financially, the money came. Now, was it enough to do whatever needed? Financially, the state made sure that I paid what I needed to pay to support you as a child. Now, I would have probably gave you way much more, but I didn't have control over that. This conversation you end up having with the child, but here's an example of something that you did have. See, a lot of times we ain't give nothing to the child. Money, time, affection, we ain't giving nothing. We completely ghosting that child's life. And it's okay if you want to be ghosting a child's life. But later on, you will find out that you need that child. That child is a part of you that's out, in the atmosphere, in the world, floating. And they can bring you so much for the relationship you will have with them. Just like a father who had his child in his house and he put so much into him and he goes out. Because you can't change the nature that you pass from yourself to that child.
I heard that conspiracy what he said, I listened to his clip, the clip you're talking about, and I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for this profound, because he got this conspiracy out there. Oh, child support is a scam. So I'm waiting for him to explain the scam of it, and because I'm like, you and your feelings, you're really not in your facts yet. And then given his age, he just at a certain level of immaturity and ignorance that he don't really understand what child support really is. And so he's like, oh, the child support. Then he reads something off like, yeah, because the money belongs to the state. I said, and he stopped short there. I'm like, you shouldn't have put a period there. You really should have put a comma and ask yourself why it belongs to the state. Because what he don't realize is, I'm like, listen, truthfully, and let me tell you this, economic. I said, if child support was to really get us what they really should be getting us for and charge us for what they really should be charging for, your child support would be way greater than what that little whatever 18 to 20% they're taking out your little check. I'm saying it to say this. I'm like, they will give you the child support, right? You will get they will institute or put that judgment of child support against you, but your kid will still get Medicaid on the back end. You understand? When in actuality, I'm like, well, why don't you just go ahead and let us take care of the medical, you know what I'm saying, the medical insurance too. Now, what you think your child support would look like if they comboed it with the Medicaid that your child is getting on top of that child support you get? So let's say they snatch the Medicaid and add it to say, okay, you know what? You're responsible for that too. What you think your child support will look like? And so most guys complain about child support. I'm like, hey man, trust me, you're getting over like a fat cat. Because at least they're still giving your child access to Medicaid. And you're just paying for whatever other basic needs that child may have. But if they compound that child support with the medical insurance expenses that comes along with it, now you got something to complain about. And so he didn't really articulate and explain that portion of it. I'm like, man, you're telling her half truth. You're not telling the whole truth because you don't understand what the state is paying for. So if the state can just say, okay, you know what? We'll get them child support on that end. And it does go to the state, but it still filters to that mother and that child. You understand? But the way he explained that told me he was completely ignorant about the situation.
We should invite him to the program. If any one of you guys,
because that'd be nice. I wish I could, I'll do that, but I know that,
please do that.
When the man tell me that, he might come to the program, but he might then also say, well, what's the residuals of? Hey, Cuban crisis, ain't that what they'll say? What's the residuals for them to come to the program?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Residuals would be nice, but the reality is, a lot of shows I've been on, I've never got a residual. Right. And you're not going to get a residual like someone such as yourself. There's a show that's going on now. Some people I know, they have a geneticist on it. And I know for a fact that they raised money to have her on there to pay her.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody such as yourself, you go on a show, they're going to pay you. But if it's somebody like such as that guy or someone like me, who the hell are you? Well, I'm not going to pay you. You're just
not going to pay you for your
just be happy to come on and your face be seen. That's
right.
Point taken.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to bring some value.
You had time.
A quick one with financial infidelity. Since I'm a divorced guy, those fathers who are married or in a relationship, let's talk about the ending. I go to court. The judge says a docket goes on the paper. They call it a docket or whatever they call it. I see $18,000 worth of debt. The lawyer says to the judge, Your Honor, the wife is asking the husband to pay this $18,000 worth of debt. Of course, I'm sitting there, so I'm not going to say nothing because remember, it's the judge's theater. It's his room. The judge looks at the paper and says, and this is where my heart, if your heart will beat fast, this is where my heart beat fast. The judge says, each person holds their debt. That's the first day I found out about that $18,000 debt. And that's also a financial infidelity because I didn't know about that debt. However, in the divorce decree, that debt was asked to be paid for. And the judge says each person holds their own debt. Now just imagine if that judge had said, you know what, you guys are married, common law, share the debt. You need to know who's in front of you. You need to know who's beside you. Because you don't want a stranger to make a decision on a debt that you never incurred.
I think, Rohan, you might have summed up the whole night. You might have ended it right up. Yes, Rohan gave a great ending to the night show. So people be mindful of who you are with, what they're doing with the money, how the money operates. Because as we know, in any partnership, I won't just say marriage, any partnership, because you can have a partner, you know, a business partner, you know, any type of partnership that involves money. When it comes, very few people gonna say, "Oh, I need to get my share out. I don't need to get my share out." Very few, ain't a whole bunch of Dr. Dre's out there. Tell Suge he can have it all. I just make some more, you know. I just go away. You know, not too many people do that, but it can happen. But the average person, they're not able to do that. So just remember that. Fathers, I want to thank you again. I want to thank everybody who watched tonight, like, share. I showed we are on Instagram. We are now on fan base. We're on there now. When we go streaming, and hopefully by April, when we are going live streaming, we'll be on all those platforms all at the same time. So all of those platforms will be Facebook, Instagram, fan base, YouTube. We will be shooting this out, getting more fathers, more people involved, looking, paying attention, hearing some of the great topics and subjects that we have going on. And again, at the same time, healing ourselves, getting regenerated, regenerified every week, with things that really help us and make us feel the kind of resources and the kind of group time that men really need, because we don't get that very often. You know, everything for most men is like a rat race. It's like a battle royal. It's like the Coliseum. And this place we come together, talk about things, and be able to really put it together in one place. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Fathers, if you just repeat after me, I am.
I am.
I say I am.
I am.
I am a man of honor.
I am.
I am a man of honor.
I am.
I
am.
am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I say I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
Come on, fathers. I say I am.
I am.
I say that you are.
You are.
I say that we are.
We are.
Championship fathers.
Yeah.
And folks, when you see us do that, it's not just flexing. What we're doing is we're lifting our children on our arms and our families on our back like Atlas. And we always want to thank you for joining us here at the Fatherhood Think Tank. Again, like, share, subscribe. We're trying to get to a certain number of subscribers so we can start getting into that algorithm that will really get us out there, so people can really begin to see when they put in Fatherhood Talk Think Tank comes up, and they be like, oh, wow, this is about fatherhood. With that being said, thanks, guys, again for the night. We'll see you tomorrow for all those who are coming on for the Fathers Only meeting. We have that Fathers Only meeting. We'll get really deep into some real stuff, continuing this conversation in the only way that we can do in the man cave. With that being said, good night, good night, good night. See you next week.
Night.
On Fatherhood Think Tank.
Have a blessed one, fam.
You